Hey guys, I hope everyone's been doing well, especially during exam seasons and finals. Um, just doing their best to stay stress free and to study to make sure they pass. Uh, Unlike me, I actually finished taking all my finals, and you know, tomorrow's basically my last day. But today was my last day. I'm not coming to school tomorrow. But when I first walked into junior year, I thought it would just be like another school year. I figured I'd go to class, do my work, hang out with friends, and move on. Looking back at it now, I just realized that junior year became so much more than just that. It was junior year was full of ups and downs. Some days felt like the best days of my life, while others felt like everything was just going wrong. There were so many moments where I laughed so hard with my friends that my stomach was starting to hurt, and moments where I sat alone thinking about things I wish had turned out differently. One thing I learned this year is how quickly time moves. I remember writing a note on the first day of school, thinking I had forever. Before uh, now reading that note again, it feels like I just blinked and the whole year just went by a snap of the fingers. When I wrote that note, I had no idea what was waiting for me. My friendships became some of the most important parts of this year, whether it was just messing around in class or making random memories that seemed small at the time. Those memories are ones that I'll probably remember the most. The funny thing is when you're living those moments, you don't realize they're becoming memories. You always think that there'll be another lunch period, another class, another chance, to see everyone tomorrow. Of course, not everything was perfect. My love life was probably the most disappointing thing of junior year. There were a lot of disappointments, confused feelings, moments that hurt more than I expected. Sometimes I spent a lot of times wondering why things didn't work out the way I wanted them to. Looking back at it now, experiences they tell me a lot about myself. Even if they weren't the ending I hoped for, they became part of the story that I'm writing. There were times where I felt left out or questioned where I stood with people. Those moments hurt because nobody wants to feel forgotten, but even in the difficult times, there were people who made me laugh, supported me, and reminded me that I wasn't alone. The good memories end up weighing out the bad. What makes the end of junior year so emotional isn't just that school's ending. It's realizing that this specific chapter of my life is it's gone. It's ending forever. Some of the people I see every day now, I probably won't see again after graduation. The halls I probably walked through a million times. The it won't be a part of my routine anymore. The classes, conversations, the ordinary moments that seem so normal are suddenly things I want to hold on to. Junior year wasn't perfect. I'll say that, but that's what made it special, it was real. It was filled with mistakes, lessons, friendships, heartbreaks, laughter, and memories I'll carry with me long, long after high school ends. Hmm. you know, uh, Senior year is waiting for me now. A part of me is excited, but a part of me is scared because I know this is basically the last year. As much as I always look forward to the future, I feel like I'll always be grateful for junior year. It taught me that time was faster and that when we think memories are just made when you least expect them, and that even the hardest moments. If junior year taught me anything, it's to appreciate the people around me while they're still here, because one day, the moments that seem ordinary right now will be the moments that I probably will always miss the most. In the beginning of the year, my teacher made us write a note to our future selves, and honestly, when I read it, I just felt like, wow, so much has changed since then. I wrote about people that I'm not even friends with anymore. I wrote about girls. I wrote about a girl I like that I haven't talked to in 8 months. It's quick how life can change in just 10 months. The, when the bell rang, I thought I'd feel excited. I said goodbye to all my teachers. I hugged them before I left. I mean, summer's here and senior year it's finally in reach. And, you know, I don't feel sadness. I guess I mainly feel like, wow, like, it's seniors year, I'm gonna graduate soon. Like, it's crazy. I've been counting the days till school ended, like, forever. I look forward into sleeping in and having free time and taking a break from all my goddamn assignments, but when the moment arrive, I just feels like I'm not really ready to leave it behind. It's not because of the classes or the homework. It's mainly because of the people. Every day throughout junior year, I always walked through the same hallways, saw the same faces. Some of the people that are my close friends, or others that were just classmates. I talk to every once in a while, but together they're part of my daily life without realizing it. Those moments that I had talking to them, they were something that I just started to depend on. For the first time, I have to accept that things are changing. Most of my friendships will either stay strong or some will fade. Some people I see every day now could become a stranger from a year from now, and that's one of the hardest parts about growing up is that no one ever tells you that some people who make up your everyday life won't always be there. When I think about junior year, I don't think about every assignment or every test. I remember laughing with my friends until I couldn't breathe. I remember the inside jokes that made sense to no one else. I even remember the random conversations that seemed meaningless at the time, but the memories that I'll never forget. I remember the difficult days when I felt left out, days that things didn't work out the way I hoped, days when I questioned myself and wondered if I fit in. But at the time, those moments felt huge. But now, standing at the edge of the end of the year, I see them differently. They weren't just obstacles; they're experiences that they helped me grow. They taught me how to keep moving forward even when things hurt and you just get put down and you just feel like there's nothing left. Maybe that's why junior year just felt so much important to me. It wasn't just a good year or a bad year, it was just a year that basically changed my whole perspective on everything. The version of myself walking into school on the first day is not the same person walking out on the last day. I learned lessons that could never be taught in a classroom. I've experienced friendships that I'll remember forever. I faced disappointments that made me stronger, and most importantly, I've learned that time doesn't wait for anyone. That you can't wait for time to just wait around till you're ready. Time won't wait around for anything. You have to keep going. Uh, you know, I'm a little nervous for what comes next. I graduate in a year, but one day, years from now, I'll probably look back and realize that it wasn't just another year of high school. It was one of the chapters that helped me become who I am. Maybe that's why so hard to say goodbye. Because junior year meant a lot. I made a lot of friends. I became the person I am today, which I'd rather be 100% than the person I was when I first walked into school on the first day. I know in the future that I'll look back at this year as one of the most funnest, most hilarious year ever. I really like junior year, and I'm excited for what senior year brings upon me next. I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you guys are doing absolutely wonderful. And I hope you guys pass your finals and you pass your exams and you don't have to do summer school. And if you do have summer school, hope you get all your classes done. That way next year you don't have summer school. I hope everyone does well. And later guys. See you next video.